Hello and welcome everybody to another game of competitive Scythe. This is Joy Division, and today I'm going to be talking about Togawa as a faction. So I'm going to try to over-explain everything I'm doing and why I'm doing it to help you play better when you are Togawa. Right now I have a mechanical board, so if you look at the bottom of your screen you'll see that I get a mediocre amount of coins for several things. I can do deploy, build, and enlist for 2 coins each. So the key here is to pick 2 things and do them really well. Right now I'm going to pick deploying and enlisting because that gives me the best route to potentially getting 6 stars. When you're setting up for those 2 actions, you'll notice you need quite a few resources. It's 4 food for every enlist and 3 metal for every deploy. So I'll need at least 5 workers and an upgrade or 2 to get those done. I have the 1 oil I need. I'm already at 3 workers, and the thing you'll see me do a lot with Togawa is move. Now you'll say, why are you moving so much? It's not getting you anything. You're not building a building every time. It's just a top row action only. Togawa is super slow, but they really excel with the move action because they get to set traps, and also they get to control lots of territory. Like they have abilities that make them powerful as single units, which is usually a weakness of other factions. So you have Ronin, you have Sutan, you have things that make you a threat when you're by yourself, so you can spread out with less risk. For this encounter here, I'm going to take the bottom option because the wood is more valuable to me than losing coin. Like I'd rather gain coin from building this. I didn't plan on getting on tier 2 for popularity anyway, so the pop doesn't mean much to me at all. Alright, I build a mill here. That's going to save me some turns. I need like one fewer upgrade now. And what I need to talk about, which is like a huge part of playing Togawa, is where your traps go and what traps they are. So to understand and kind of best navigate that, you have to consider what your opponents would like to do and who your opponents are. I have a Saxony in this game who has a very fast board. You can see they already have a mech and they're going to be building a second one very soon. It's only turn 4, right? So you know that Saxony would love to get some early fights. Crimea, on the other hand, they probably won't be out of their base for a while, so you don't have to worry about thinking about what they'll do in the short game. Like in these first few territories outside your base, that's not a concern, but for Saxony it is. Now, if you're a Saxony player and you're considering an early fight, what is the worst trap that you could find? You have 4 cards and you have 1 power. The other thing I should mention is that you're most certainly going to have 5 workers by the time you're ready to fight, or you'll be headed that way soon. So if I'm a Saxony player and I already have 5 workers, or I'm gonna have 5 workers soon, going to 0 power is actually terrible because that means I can no longer produce. And if I can't produce, I can't get my mechs on the table. If I can't get my mechs on the table, it's hard for me to continue to like snowball the early game. So I put the power trap down because that would be the most damaging trap that Saxony could hit, and they're the ones who would hit me on that tile, if any. I'm going to build my first mech. I could go Toka here to mess with Crimea and intimidate them. I have no intention of jumping over the river, but if they see Toka, maybe it slows them down and forces them to build a scout mech for defense or something like that. I'm going to go Ronin though because I do think Saxony needs a fight and I'm really the only target at this point, and I'm going to want the ability to retaliate with Ronin if I end up losing the first fight. So Ronin's down. I'm going to take all those workers to the farm, and then I'll be set up to repeatedly do bottom row actions like we talked about. I want to be deploying and enlisting because not only is that like profitable for me, but it helps me work on 4 different stars. I can get the power star, the mech star, the worker star, and the enlist star. So that's huge. Beyond that, I need to continue moving towards the factory just 1 step at a time. The weakness and also the strength of Togawa is you have to move a lot. It would be much better if you could cover more ground with each move, but that's just not the way this faction works. So where do my other traps go? I need to put a trap down on this tunnel, the tunnel in front of me here, the village tunnel, because Saxony has a lot of tunnel access and they also have disarm. So attacking someone on a tunnel is very appealing to them. All right, you can see that I just got launched onto by Saxony and they hit the power trap. So they don't have 5 workers right now. I was expecting they would produce one more time before they did this, but they're still gonna drop to 0, which means they're forced to now bolster before they move up to more than 3 workers. They're not going to get anything from this fight, like I already spent the metal, but they do want that early star. Now, I have 2 cards and one of them is a 5. I also know that this is probably a low card, and the reason I say that is they have no power and they just launched a mech by itself. So if they really wanted to win, they would throw more mechs at me. I end up going with the 5 because having to go all the way back to the start is pretty devastating, and I need to keep moving forwards towards the factory. So the 5 is gone, which means if I get attacked again, it's bad news, but I'm putting the card trap down and I'm gonna be enlisting. So I'll be able to like survive another attack here if it happens, because I'll gain 2 power. I'll have 2 more cards by that point, and Saxony still has 0 power. So this is a good look for me in terms of defense, and it also protects the iron tile that just got attacked. So a really like unfortunate mechanic of Togawa is that you can't rearm traps until you have built Shinobi, and Shinobi is not a mech you want to make early on because it's not really useful until you have traps that are further out on the map and you have like more moves accomplished. So we're in a good position. Saxony can't move this turn. I just enlisted. So now I have 3 cards instead of 1. They're unfortunately not very strong, but Saxony doesn't know that. If you look at where this game is headed, I'm going to make 2 more moves. I'm going to go to that iron mine in front of me, or not the mine. I'm going to go to the iron tile in front of me and then the factory. And as far as traps go, you have to think what trap you want to have on the factory. And then if you need to play that 3rd trap on the place before it, or if you can save it. So I think the most likely scenario is that, ooh, that was a good objective by Saxony there. The most likely scenario is that I'm going to have to play it because Saxony is still threatening to attack me. But if they're far away and weak, then I'll just hold on to it and put it on a more valuable territory that Crimea cares about. So, second mech now. I'm going to be forced to go with Shinobi here because I have a trap that needs to get rearmed in case I get attacked again, which is likely. I'm still the only target that Saxony could go for at this point. The good news is we forced them to do some really weird things with their workers. Like instead of going to 5 workers, they have 1 on each of their primary tiles, which is very strange. This game is going to be like a race against Crimea coming out, which we're not expected to win that, but if things go well for us and we get a really good factory card, it could, tip in our favor here, because we're going to get enough stars, especially if we are undisturbed for a few rounds. Every turn gives me the resources I need for bottom row actions to follow. As Togawa, I don't always need to have the ability to get 6 stars, because you're not as fast as other factions, but you need to have a good score at all times. If you have a good score, then you're going to impact other players' decisions on whether they can end the game or not. If you plan on racing them and try to rush the game, you're never going to make it, because there just isn't a route that's competitive with Togawa. You have to get incredibly lucky to pressure the game from a rush standpoint. What we're gonna do is try to spread quite a bit and hold a scoring threat at all times. So I'm very focused on how many coins I have. Coins are always points. They don't require popularity to be good. They're just always good. So that's why I'm focusing on those bottom row actions and claiming territory as I move around. Like I talked about, I don't think Saxony can beat me in a fight, so I'm gonna potentially save that trap. I'd rather save the trap because that's not a very dangerous tile. That's not a very valuable tile to put it on. I want to put it somewhere that Crimea will care about. And if I was able to, I'm not going to be able to, but if I was, that oil tunnel would be perfect, or maybe even the spot in front of the factory on the south, that would be great. But what's most likely going to happen is I'll get the factory card, put a trap down, I'll use the factory card, and then wherever I end up on that factory card movement will be where my last trap goes, because by that turn count, someone's absolutely going to be looking to fight, and Togawa is an easy target since they're alone all the time. So trap can really add to your defenses there. It's also key that I save the popularity trap, because popularity is something that isn't very threatening to anyone except maybe yellow, depending on where they are at the time. So if they are flirting with tier 2 and you lure them into a fight, or you give them the opportunity to fight you at the cost of pop, that really hurts. To give I guess I misspoke here. So my instinct would say Crimea would be the one that cares about popularity, not Saxony, but looking at the stat line right now, that's not the case. Saxony has quite a bit of pop given their factory action and their encounters. Okay, so if you're looking at the board right now, we're doing pretty good. We have 1 star though, and it's round 12. So we've really got to pick up the pace in terms of our star collection. We need 1 more fight, and we have an opponent here who has 0 power. They happen to be on the factory, and that's a place I really want to go. So I'd love to just fight Saxony on the factory. We might not get that chance though. They could move away, which would be unfortunate because Togawa is terrible at chasing people down. So if Saxony ends their move on a tunnel, or if they stay on the factory, we're going to get our second combat victory through them. Then I need to make sure I finish my enlistments and my mechs very quickly. So that's going to look like less moving and more producing and bolstering. Okay, Saxony left the factory, but they did stop on a tunnel. So I'm going to take that tunnel for the combat star and make sure I remain a threat as far as score goes for when Crimea starts to lay down the hammer. Saxony's been eating up encounters this game, and they're pretty popular given their factory card, but honestly, they're not really doing much. They have 1 star, they don't have 8 workers, they're not going to control a lot of territory. Alright, it's my turn. I need to take the factory and put a trap down. It's definitely going to be the coin trap. Coins are always damaging. They're always important, and losing 4 coins is quite a bit. So whether I get attacked by Crimea or Saxony later on, that's going to hurt. I'm going to make sure I win this fight. Can't take any chances here. I need that star. Okay, so sent him home. Still in range of the power star if I get a little lucky. A couple run-ins or a good encounter could push me towards that star. And it's not essential, I could just build workers, but wow, these factory cards are awful. This is not what I hoped for. This is terrible. There's not a single card I want. I want something that gives me coins or, a bottom row that I really need. So we don't see any of those. It would be amazing to see trade a combat card for 3 coins or trade a combat card for 3 resources, but we don't get any of that. So I'll just take the ones that's about pop. I'll probably never use it. That's too bad. At least though we have a trap on the factory, which is often that's your goal as Togawa, is you want to put a trap on the most valuable territory, which is going to be the factory. So we have one trap left. It's the pop trap. It doesn't matter where we put it at this point. We just have to put it down if we end up moving again, which I'm sure we will. So I want you to think about how the rest of the game is going to go, like what you'd expect to have happen, because Crimea is at that boiling point where they're about to like take over the entire game. We need to remain a threat in terms of score at all times so that we can stall things out. It's very unlikely we're going to be the one to end a game. Like, Togawa is just not a fast faction, but you need to keep yourself relevant at all times. And I'd say we're doing a good job so far, but we have to put ourselves in a great position for when Crimea starts gobbling up a lot of territory. Alright, so now I have all the metal I need to finish my mechs, and I have that last enlistment on the way. The thing I haven't really touched on in a bit is how I'm going to finish my objectives. And one play that is now open to me because of the enlistment bonus is foundations. So I can put a building on this farm and actually unlock that requirement of 6 units. So that's a really unorthodox way to do it, but oh my gosh, okay, we hit the jackpot. If we take 4 power here, we're gonna get a star, because that puts us within, 1 upgrade and 1 bolster away from 16. I see that there's oil on the table. It's pretty likely Crimea will upgrade. Like, that just got us a star basically. But as I was saying, like, I just did foundations by putting a building down on my farm to raise the unit total from 5 up to 6, and that's going to be a sneaky objective. If we're able to get that power star, that's going to be game, which is crazy. Pretty lucky, but the thing is, though, if you pause the game right here and you're viewing it from the perspective of another player, there's no thought in your mind that purple is about to end the game, which is pretty exciting. Like, we can kind of take this one by surprise here. We need 1 more power from a neighbor, so we need Crimea to upgrade here. I think they will, but they still have to, obviously they want to, because they get the power star doing that, and it also helps us too. Okay, they upgrade. That gets us to 13, lucky number 13. Now we can finish our mech and get the power star to put us at 4. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, now here's the also good thing about this. If you look at the territory count, Crimea just moved, they have 6. Saxony moved last turn, they have 6. We have 4, but our traps occupy territory at the end of the game as long as they're armed. So we have plus 4, that's 8, considering the traps. I just got that power star and the mech star and 20 coins. So what we're gonna do, as long as Saxony doesn't move around like a madman right now, we're just gonna produce and finish foundations, or like reveal foundations to finish out the game. This is uncommon. Like, usually you have to find ways to stall by moving onto lakes, denying combats, continuing to spread the purple swarm, but we're now in the driver's seat because we have that hidden objective that it's going to be quite a shock, I bet. So they didn't move, and this puts the game in the bag for us. We have the territory advantage. We have a good, strong coin foundation. Like, we are set. So final enlistment, that's going to get us a star and some coins. And foundations for the win. So exciting Togawa game. I've got another one coming up here soon, so hopefully you stay tuned for that. But I'm going to let the credits roll here. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.